Scripting for the Web, WS300, Platt College, jQuery animations and effects. jQuery has a lot of built-in animation effects and methods. It allows us to do a number of typical web animations like fading an element in or fading out an element to show or hide elements. We can create custom animations and add plugins for even more options. The effects page listed here shows all the built-in ways that you have control over your animations on your pages. This page has a lot of techniques, but we're just going to focus on a few of them that you might typically use, like slide toggle, fade in, fade out, hide, show, toggle, etc. Here we see some basic elements of the hiding and showing function. If hide has a duration, it will visibly shrink the height and width of the div until it is small and then set it to display none. If show has a duration, it does the opposite effect. It will set the height and the value of the box and grow it to the necessary size. Toggle will go back and forth between these two states, showing and hiding when it starts out shown and showing when it starts out hidden. All animations, custom or predefined like these examples, have arguments that we can pass into the parentheses. These arguments then can change or customize the animation, and when there are no arguments, it will just do the default values. This slide shows some more examples. That while the elements show and hide like the previous slide, with the fading functions, there is a slightly different animation effect. This one changes the opacity to fade in or fade out an element. The animation for fade to requires the opacity value that you want to have it be at when the animation is complete. In general, jQuery's animation functions don't care where you start, but care where you are going to end. jQuery has some predefined arguments like fast and slow, which carry a set millisecond value. Fast is 200 milliseconds and slow is 600 milliseconds. And the default is in between and set at 400 milliseconds. This is explained in the jQuery documentation. Its easing arguments are swing, which is its default, so no need to set something to swing. And the other preset is linear. So if you want something to have a linear easing, you would have to pass that as an argument, seen in one of the examples above. This slide shows more examples with a slightly different effect. The last example on this slide uses a named callback function and not an anonymous function. And again, this provides a specific type of animation, effectively vertically opening and vertically closing an element, showing and hiding it from view, respectively. This is a good animation to use when making an accordion for a website. The custom animate function allows us to affect CSS properties that have numeric values, but can't animate things like font family. The default uses pixels, but we can change this to percents, which is great for progress bars, and we can also use EM and REM. Everything needs to resolve to a valid CSS property, or it will not be able to be used in the style attribute rendered on that element by JavaScript. Almost all of the animation effect functions have these three things in common. A duration can be defined, an easing value can be set, and an optional callback function run. jQuery allows for what is called chaining on an object. Chaining is when we have a number of methods attached to the same object. This is an example of the custom animate function. These individual chained functions will run one after the other. So here we are animating a square. It moves the square from its current position to 100 pixels to the right. Then it moves the square down 100 pixels, and then left 100 pixels, and then back up to where it started, 100 pixels. And it does this by affecting the top and left property of the div. So in summary, jQuery has some great built-in features for animations, and we have seen a number of them in this lecture. Animations can be customized by passing the function some additional arguments. The syntax of those arguments are consistent, making its use fairly easy to understand and implement and customize. Plugins can be added for even greater effects for custom easing and adding additional CSS properties that we can animate. jQuery Transit is just one excellent example.